Finally here in Moonrise. I heard there's some really good gear here.
Ever at your service.
Alright. Alright. Look at all this cool stuff. 65. Okay. How much is it? 100. Okay. 400 for a scroll. Well, what about the weapons? 65. 380. Armor? 770. What about this? 3,800? Oh, screw that, man.
An honor.
You know, I'm cheap, but come on. Those are highway robbery prices. I know what I'll do. I'll just steal it with my trusty Asterion. So, I know. We'll just go ahead. No one will ever know that it was me. And I'll cast some guidance. And then I'll just make a little cloud here with my trusty cape. And then I'll crouch. Go into turn-based mode. And now the world is my taking. Take that. I'll ruin the economy. I don't care. Uh-oh. Oh, wait. This can happen? What the heck? Gotta go. See ya. Yeah. Gotta get out of here. Whew. Okay. That was a close one. That's a good thing I know how to, you know, get out of a bad sticky situation like this. But, hey, maybe you don't. My name's Garsen, and sometimes you kind of need to know what you're doing when you're possibly pickpocketing all these rich merchants with their crazy outlandish prices in honor mode. So, if you've been following my stuff, I've shown you how to get a lot of the gear here. This is Act 2. We're going to rewind a little bit all the way back to Act 1, if you bear with me. Because what I'd like to do is try and fill in some of the gaps I've left out in a previous couple of videos. And let's break out my favorite thing, our little whiteboard here. And we're going to go over some notes as I help you kind of break down how it is that you can kind of get away with this stuff, or even screw up and suffer no consequences. So this is the last thing we really need to go over when it comes to how to pickpocket. And the first thing while this loads in is, let's go ahead, when it comes to pickpocketing and how we do it, that's what this video is all about. We need to be built for the class and gear. I'll go ahead and link a description to the previous videos so we can kind of go over that. But we've rewinded back to Act 1 to kind of go over the fundamentals of how to actually do the process of pickpocketing, right? So the first one, let's start with staying out of line of sight. If you don't know line of sight, on PC you can hold down Shift, or when you go to hide, you'll actually see these red areas. And if you hold it down, you'll see this little sun symbol around us. If you have any kind of light, you won't be in obscured darkness. You'll see the little star wherever my cursor goes. You can see obscured is like a half circle. A full circle means the moment someone looks at you, even if you're stealth, you're exposed. You're going to be found out. So the red area is being seen by an NPC. Being obscured is a pretty big important part of stealth, but this isn't really a stealth video. Just the easiest way to go over the fundamentals is try to stay out of the red area. Wow. Okay, so let's go back to the notes. The next step is we want to know how to hide and crouch. I think you know how to do this. Whether you've done it in combat or just been sneaking around, you want to go ahead right down here, hit hide. Wow, very incredible. Incredible. So stay at a high sight. We want to hide. What's the next thing on our amazing list here? Well, when we go for a pickpocket, instead of just coming over here and pickpocketing the guy, right? Anything can happen since we're in real time. So it would probably behoove you to actually hit turn-based mode. Now before I do that, let me show you something very important though. There's a very important detail with actions and bonus actions. It's kind of why I like Rogue anyway. If we were to turn base first and then hit hide, we've done everything kind of correctly up to this point, except you'll notice we don't have an action anymore, and we cannot pickpocket this gentleman, this fine gentleman merchant here. This is why we do the fundamentals. This is why we understand the process and do it in the right, correct order. Let's hop out of turn-based mode. Let's hop out of hiding. So you kind of want to maximize, you want to do it in the right process so that you're using your actions, or rather the lack of using your actions correctly, so you can get out of a sticky situation if one arises, or you can maximize how much you're stealing. So again, we're going to go ahead and stay out of the line of sight, then we're going to hide and crouch, then we'll turn base mode, and then of course we'll finally do the actual pickpocketing. Ready? So we're out of line of sight, we'll hide, we'll turn based, and now we have a green button here, an action, and we can go ahead and steal. Now, pickpocketing itself, here's a caveat you need to understand about pickpocketing. While I'm in this menu, if I were to say open up this menu, hop back in, I'm still in it, right? But if I were to switch to somebody else and then switch back, uh-oh, okay. But it seems I didn't blow my pickpocketing yet, right? Well, if I went ahead and took one thing, I got distracted, went to another character, went back, uh-oh, I've blown my action. Wait, I can't pickpocket. I'd have to end the turn. I could still be in turn-based mode, but now the world is going to turn one turn. The whole world is going to revolve in time by one turn. So potentially if someone was around the area, I've blown my action, I can't pickpocket again, it's probably going to be dangerous to sit there in turn-based mode and wait it out another round. So just little things to keep in mind, right? Maybe don't do that. Maybe once you've opened the screen, stay focused. Hopefully you have all of your gear set up correctly, your class set up correctly. You've got the other steps we're going to go over, and then just pickpocket what you need to take. And once you're done pickpocketing, close this out or walk away. Okay, and we'll move on to the next step. Obviously sneak away far enough. This isn't that important, but just good practices. Now you want to go ahead and turn-based mode. Okay, exit turn-based mode, go away, and then lastly teleport or run the hell away. Okay, warp to camp. Warp to camp is probably the easiest method. So let's go ahead and reload this. And while it's reloading, I'm going to recap what we've learned here about the fundamentals. So again, the fundamentals, and we're going to build off this, but you want to stay out of line of sight. Then you want to hide or crouch, right? Then you'll enter turn-based mode. Then you'll start the pickpocketing process and just stay focused. Don't jump around to characters or close down windows. You're going to lose your action. Okay, then once you're done, pop out of it and sneak far enough away that you're not going to get caught. And once you're far enough away, you can come out of stealth or just exit turn-based mode, really, and then you'll warp back to camp. Okay, pretty easy, pretty easy. Now let's get on to some more advanced stuff. Let me make sure we got the camera all set up here. Adding on to that. So how do we add on to it, and what's so important about it? Well, okay, you know the fundamental process to do this the right way, but I didn't give you all the tips and tricks about, you know, this setup of gear by level 3 and getting a bard or a rogue with expertise. All of that would be for nothing if we don't really maximize everything we've grabbed here. So if you've seen it in the previous video or you already know about this stuff, you want to have guidance, preferably on a character that can cast it on themselves, like through the amulet here. And you want to use the shapeshifter boon. There is a benefit to using disguise self, but in this case we know absolutely we're getting a benefit from our dice roll whenever we go to pickpocket. And if you don't already know how the breakdown works, go check out that video as well. But adding on to it, let's first talk about disguise self, right? So we're going to use the same fundamentals, but before we do, let's go ahead and cast this pseudo-permanent buff here. And with this ring equipped, it's going to go ahead, we can tell we did it right, bottom left, mark of the shifter. So when you disguise yourself, you're technically shape-shifting. You'll get a buff. It adds a 1d4 to your pickpocketing. And since you don't have to concentrate on this or anything, you can probably just go ahead and cast this before everything else in the process, before all these fundamentals. Let's go ahead and hit disguise self. All right, now cast guidance. Okay, cast guidance gives us the same similar buff, right? We get another 1d4 to all of our ability checks, so another dice roll added to our pickpocketing. So we want to go disguise self, then guidance, or if we're already disguised, guidance before any of the fundamental process, right? So cast guidance, then you're going to go ahead and hide, and then you're going to hit turn-based. And here's the little caveat with guidance. Because it does last for 10 turns, since we've already added in turn-based mode to our process, it kind of synergizes pretty well, don't you think? This stops the ticker from going down and losing guidance. We can sit here all day, think about, do I really need this? Maybe, is this too risky to go after? Screw it. You know, you can sit here for a million items and just grab whatever the hell you want. And guidance has not ticked down. I could go get a coffee, come back, get back to pickpocketing, whatever. Okay? So turn-based mode wasn't just to kind of stop the world, but it gives us a lot of time, and it also stops our own buff from being wiped out, because the 1d4 is pretty damn helpful, don't you think? So let's go to hide, turn-based mode, and then, you know, pickpocket. We know that. So just the two little added steps there. As early as Act 1, I've shown you can get this gear. You want to do this process correctly, and then run away, and then warp to camp, or go to a waypoint. Okay? I'll keep, you know, reiteration is really how you beat this into people's heads and get them to do it the right way. Practice the fundamentals. Bear with me, okay? So, I'm going to leave camp again. This probably hasn't been really long enough to be detected, but, you know, hopefully. I'll talk about this a little bit more, but changing disguise, don't know how helpful this is, but maybe change it. And maybe give it a couple seconds, maybe even a minute, because this guy's still looking for us, see? So, whoopsie. I'm going to run away here. And once he's chilled out, we'll come back in looking like a totally different person. Like a, you know, very honest, hardworking tiefling who would never do anybody any wrong. Okay. And we'll come on back over here. Let's just talk to this gentleman over here. How you doing? Oh, we've never met before, sir. What are you selling? Oh, very interesting. See, so these little extra steps like disguise self, the guidance ring, and then adding him into the fundamentals. This is kind of our bread and butter of how to actually do pickpocketing, okay? So what if the whole world is watching? What the hell does that mean? Okay, so if the whole world is watching, how do we actually steal? Because that was kind of easy, right? There's nobody watching. There's all this red area. What am I supposed to do then? Hey, there's a few tips and tricks here. Like if you have minor illusion, check this out. Hey, everybody, look at that cat. Okay. And you can see now all the red area can just kind of, you know, shove off. But you don't even need to do that. By the way, minor illusion's pretty broken in this game. It may not seem that way at first. We all felt that way. Wait until you learn what it can really do. But that's for another video, another time, another discussion. What you can actually do on any character is equip a bow or a crossbow, and you can have a darkness arrow. Do I have any ready right now? No. Let's just buy one from a merchant because we can get our money back. Okay. And this guy does not have one. Are you serious? This is why we don't do live. Okay. That's fine by me, because what I'm going to do is actually load in to an Act 2 character real quick, because I have more to show you. And let's go back to Asterion right over here, right? So the little trick here is we can actually obscure vision, right? We don't want to piss people off, and we're going to use a fog or an arrow of darkness. Arrow of darkness is probably the earliest thing you can use to get this to go off, but there's some pointers I'm trying to make very clear to you. The whole objective is to, once again, make sure no one can see us, just like back in the fundamentals. We're going to eliminate and stay out of sight, so we have to obscure vision to make that happen, right? Let's see. So let's say a merchant had an arrow of darkness. Perfect. So let's buy that. We'll get our money back, or we'll just, you know, we'll pay a little money to make a lot of money. Any character that is equipped with an arrow of dark or a bow can cast arrow of darkness. So you don't need any fancy gear other than that, right? So you have all your cool fancy stealing gear. You're gonna go ahead and prep your character ready for disguise self, like we said. You're gonna go ahead guidance. And here's what I want you to remember. When you go to shoot the arrow of darkness, see how there's a big circle? You want to be in the circle. You do not want them in the circle. Let's see if I demonstrate if it's going to piss somebody off. Okay. See, I was out of the circle. They were in the circle. Now nobody really likes me. Okay, cool. Maybe don't do it that way, right? So like I said, something to cover about what if the whole world's watching? Well, we can obscure their vision, but we also don't want to piss anybody off doing it. Uh-oh. So let's reload. Now, how do we do that? right? So again, the trick here is creating some kind of cloud or arrow of darkness. Arrow of darkness is going to be your best bet. Doesn't require any kind of gear. We'll let this load back in with Asterion, and I'll show you how to properly set this up, because as you've seen now, there's some consequences when you can be seen doing illegal activities. Ooh. Okay, so again, let's set up the disguise. Let's go into guidance. All right, and what I want you to do is take an arrow of darkness. This circle, you see this? Think of a character having a small circle around themselves. I want you to make this big circle, okay? Touch just the very tippy tip, maybe even right inside that little circle. But also, remember, we want to be inside the circle so that the cloud is obscuring us, okay? So let's put it down, right? And then we're going to do hide, and we're going to time stop just like we've practiced with the fundamentals, okay? Come on over. We are now obscured. We have great stealth, but more importantly, no one can see us. You can see all the red areas now being blocked. And because pickpocketing is like a melee ability or whatever, it doesn't matter if we're blinded, okay? Because we are blinded. So let's go ahead and steal whatever we wanted. We can get another arrow of darkness back for the money we paid, okay? So just by, you can fuel your own thieving spree by stealing some gear, right? And we'll take an invisibility potion for later, right? But now I can just take things as much as I want. Almost never, ever, ever, ever fail. Cool. And if we do fail, right? I want you to check this out. So we are in darkness, right? We're in a darkness cloud. Uh-oh. Got a cat. Wow. You would go that far, huh? Wow. Hey, it's all the better. Now, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. So what if I screw up, right? Let's go to the notes real quick. What if I screw up? Well, obviously, step one, run, okay? You can use invisibility potions like the one we stole, right? And if you get into combat, you have to flee combat if you want to warp to camp, right? Disguise self, I'm still a little unsure about this. We'll go over it in a moment, but it's going to help us out later, okay? So now that we screwed up, now that we're in this, something to note is I'm encumbered over here. If you're ever encumbered, just go ahead, send your stuff to camp. It won't cost an action. If there's something as drastic as a cloud kill, maybe get out of it. And here's the nice thing about fog, about arrow of darkness. What you can do is save your butt with a potion of invisibility, which I should have plenty on some other characters here. Yep. So this is just going to cost us a bonus action, which is great because stealing costed us an action. So if it was still the same turn of combat, no problem. You use the action. If you did the process from the fundamentals we were talking about, you wouldn't have spent your action until you pickpocketed, and you would have a bonus action in the event that you needed to hit dash and run away, or even pop an invisibility potion and get the hell out of dodge, okay? You need 90 feet away from the last opponent you're in combat with to get the hell away safely. If you invisibility first and then run, they're going to investigate where the invisibility was and they can't find you and you're totally safe. Let's get the hell out of here and kind of restart. All right. Okie dokie. And now, as you see, flee combat. In the worst case scenarios, as long as you're prepared, as long as you set things up correctly, even in honor mode, if things go sour, you just flee combat, get the hell out of there. Again, could do a whole video on why I think flee combat is such a great mechanic. You really appreciate in honor mode, but I think that pretty much covers its point and the point I'm trying to make about what if things screw up and how to get out of a bad situation. Okay, so let's go ahead and reload a little bit. Let's go back to the inn. And I just want to run through one more time. Like I said, the fundamentals. You want to stay out of sight, then you want to hide, then you want to use turn-based mode, okay? Then do your pickpocketing because of, like I said, you don't want to waste your actions during turn-based mode. If you followed the gear guides I said before, you already knew about this stuff. You want to do any kind of disguise self, cast guidance, and then you want to do the fundamentals, okay? And then, of course, if it's as early as Act 1, you should be using darkness arrows or maybe casting fog. But I think darkness arrows are pretty cheap. You can get them really early, and of course you can always steal them. So use an arrow of darkness. Now later on, I'm sorry I didn't have this in my previous gear guide, but the Cloak of Cunning Broom, you get it from Mattis, the little tiefling kid. Let's go visit him, actually. I'll show you where he's at. Okay? So in the last light in, this will be the last thing we really cover. This is a very good piece of gear. What you're going to do is in Act 1 with the tieflings, obviously you should save the grove and save the tieflings, but you need to also convince Roland and his siblings to stay so that when you get to Last Light in Act 2 after saving the tieflings, Mattis will be here. It's a really small detail you might miss, and then in honor mode you're like, dude, what the heck, why isn't this kid here? That's why. Sorry to break it to you. Hopefully you did save the tieflings, because Mattis does sell some pretty good gear in general, but obviously he has some cool stuff like potions and whatnot, but he'll be selling this cloak right here, the Cloak of Cunning Broom. Right? Now, there's honor among thieves. I don't really steal from Mattis anymore, but just so you know, when you have the Cloak of Cunning Broom, if you hit disengage, it's like shooting an arrow of darkness, and you can see a light around me, right? But because I'm obscured, I don't ever have to worry about setting the circle or the arrow of darkness around me, the fog around me. I got that covered. But if you were to use this, right, make sure you're thinking of a big circle around you, and see how there's the little circle on Mattis? Don't ever obscure somebody with this, just like we did and screwed up with the arrow of darkness, okay? So let's go ahead and maybe hop out of this, go back to camp, and pretend like that never happened. Again, the fundamentals are really what I'm trying to teach you here about how to pickpocket successfully, or if you goof up, you can just warp back at home, try another day, okay? And the last thing I kind of want to go over one more time is Disguise Self, and this is why I put it down here at the end. Disguise Self, you can tell me in the comments. I truly don't know. I'm not going to pretend I know this, okay? What I do know is, at the very least, you can't argue with me, because Disguise Self is a requirement to get the 1d4 bonus to use our Shapeshifter ring. But as I kind of demonstrated earlier, and I'm not 100% sure about this, but it seems like to me, even when I goof up, as long as I change disguise or recast disguise, I can come up to people that I've clearly pissed off, and they're like, hey friend, we've never met before, but I would love to trade with you. And you're like, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Okay, so come on over. If you noticed when we had the fog cloud up, there was a light indicating that people were looking. Look, he says, don't make me tell, right? But he's not really pissed off at me, and as far as I know, our rep is pretty tight with each other. He's now talking to me like he's never met me before, and we're kind of just generally zero attitude, no worse, no better. So hey, cool. Okay, so those are the little details, kind of covering the process, like how to pickpocket. Okay, just kind of follow these steps all the time. If you have anything to add, put in that air. And then yeah, there's these little trip ups that you might run into. So hopefully with this you have the tools to success. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to all the gear and the classes, I highly recommend go watch my previous video. If you don't know how to get that stuff, there's a great 30-minute video, just a quick, straight, no edited run through to get all the gear you need to be an overpowered pickpocket thief right there in Act 1 at level 3. Okay, I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, or actually if anyone wants to show me or explain to me in finer detail what the hell's going on with Disguise Self, but in terms of results, I know it works this way, and you always get the benefit from the ring. That's gonna about wrap it up. I appreciate if you're watching. Check me out in the next one, but until then, I appreciate you guys. You have a great day.